You ever noticed how you don't really sound the same when you're talking to your boss versus, say, your best friend? Or maybe your accent kind of shifts a little bit after you visit a new city? Well, we're going to dive into this really cool thing that pretty much all of us do, and most of the time, we don't even have a clue we're doing it.
No, seriously, think about it for a second. Have you ever caught yourself picking up a little bit of a drawl after a weekend somewhere in the South? Or maybe you start talking a mile a minute when you're on the phone with a buddy from New York. If you've ever felt that, you are definitely not alone. This is a totally human thing. And get this, there's a brilliant theory that explains exactly what's going on.
So, that mystery? The answer is something called Accommodation Theory. And it is this fascinating social psychological model that doesn't just tell us that we change our speech, it really unlocks the hidden reasons why.
Okay, so here's the gist of it. Accommodation theory basically says that we instinctively, and a lot of the time completely unconsciously, adjust how we talk to sound a little bit more like the person we're speaking with. It's this powerful subconscious thing we do to connect, to, manage the social space between us, all through language.
And look, this isn't just about faking an accent for fun. The changes we make are way deeper and more varied than you'd probably think. It affects almost every single part of how we communicate.
I mean, we adjust a whole range of stuff. We might tweak our pronunciation, we might speed up or slow down how fast we're talking, change our volume, our pitch. We can even start using different vocabulary or make our grammar more or less complex to match the other person. It is a full spectrum adjustment, really.
But here's the thing, this adjustment isn't just random. It actually follows some pretty predictable patterns. It breaks down into a few core moves we can make in any conversation.
So you've basically got three main options. You can move your speech closer to your partners. That's called convergence. You can intentionally make it more different. That's known as divergence. Or you could just not change at all. That one's called maintenance.
Okay, but what's really cool here are the reasons behind these choices. Convergence. That's all about connection. When we converge, we're basically saying, without saying it, hey, I want you to like me, I want to be part of your group. But on the flip side, you have divergence, and that's about creating distance. It's a way to highlight your own unique identity or to signal, hey, I'm from a different group.
So what about that third one? Maintenance. Just staying put and not changing how you talk? Well, that can send a really powerful message too. See, in situations where everyone kind of expects you to connect, to converge, choosing not to can be seen as this subtle, kind of passive way of diverging.
All right, so we adjust our speech to either connect or to create distance. But what's driving those choices? Well, it probably won't surprise you that it often boils down to some fundamental social stuff. Things like status, power, and our really deep-seated need for approval. This brings us to the direction of our changes. So you've got upward accommodation. This is when we shift our speech to sound more like someone we think has a higher social status. Like using more proper or formal language in a job interview. Then there's downward accommodation, which is the opposite, adjusting our speech to match a group we see as having a lower status, maybe to show we're on their side or just to seem more approachable.
And this right here explains why one of these is way more common than the other. Upward convergence, adjusting our speech up to match someone with higher status, that's the default setting for most of us. And why? Because it taps right into that fundamental, universal human desire for approval. We just want to be accepted by the people we admire or see as being in charge.
Now, accommodation theory isn't the only game in town when it comes to explaining how social stuff affects language. but it's got this really unique angle that makes it incredibly powerful, especially when you put it side by side with other ideas like the acculturation model.
Okay, let's break this down. The acculturation model? It looks at the actual social distance between groups, something that changes really slowly over a long time. But accommodation theory, this is all about perceived distance. It's about how you feel about the other person in that specific moment, right here, right now. That means it's super dynamic. It gets negotiated moment to moment in every single chat. So its real strength is explaining the variability in how we talk, not just, the overall level of interaction.
So why does all this theory actually matter in the real world? Well, it has huge implications for one group in particular, people who are learning a second language, or what we call L2 learners. For them, these dynamics aren't just some abstract idea. It's their constant, lived reality.
Remember that whole universal desire for approval we talked about a minute ago? Well, for someone learning a new language and living in a new culture, that desire gets turned up to 11 in every single conversation. The drive to converge isn't just about being understood, it's about this deep, powerful need for acceptance, for inclusion in their new community. And there's this one quote from the source material that it really hits you right in the heart of what this feels like. It reminds us that while a native speaker can just chat away without a care, a second language learner is often painfully aware of their status as an outsider. And that awareness, it shapes every single word they choose to say. Or maybe more importantly, what they choose not to say.
So just imagine carrying that weight into every single interaction. What does that constant self-monitoring, that social math, what does that actually feel like on the inside?
So what does that inner monologue really sound like? Well, learners often feel like they're going to sound stupid if they try to talk about big topics like philosophy or religion, so they just stay quiet. They're often convinced they speak way too slowly, while at the same time, it feels like native speakers are talking impossibly fast. And here's a really interesting one. They can be even more hesitant to speak their new language with someone from their own home country, maybe because they're afraid of being judged.
And this is exactly where accommodation theory really shines. It gives us the framework to understand all this real-time anxiety and adjustment. It explains why a learner might sound totally fluent and confident one minute, and then really hesitant and quiet in the next conversation. It all comes back to that dynamic, moment-to-moment dance of negotiating your identity and your place in the world.
So the next time you find yourself talking to someone, just pay attention for a second. Notice the little shifts in your speed, your tone, your choice of words. You're not just talking, you're accommodating, you're negotiating, you're connected. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it? The question is, who will you become?
So, if you like videos like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel, hit the bell icon to get notified every time we post a new video, and share this video with your classmates, teachers, and friends. Thank you all for your input. Let's keep this process efficient and on track.